So Lawrence Fox has been whining like a little baby, and I think it's really funny. He said he might even leave the country, which, go on, do it. No one's stopping you. Although he won't, he's just doing it for attention. Now, I want to talk about right wingers. I want to talk about free speech because they don't understand it or they don't care about it. They never have, despite banging on about it all the time. So since Fox was suspended from GB News, he's turned on them and has complained that they don't support free speech. That's not how free speech works. So GB News has a right to not platform anyone. That doesn't mean it's attacking free speech. Getting suspended from a media organisation isn't an attack on free speech. Now, we have Ofcom, which regulates official news organisations, Impress, etc. The role of these institutions is to make sure that we have companies, that call themselves the news, that hold them to account, that it's important that they tell the truth and educate the population, because that is one of the core things of a functional democracy. Otherwise, we get misinformation, then we have politicians that lie and lean into the misinformation in order to get elected, which is what we live in today. So that's obviously a huge problem in this country. But the last thing we want to do is make it even worse. So this is a point of contention because the question becomes, well, what is the truth? Having government regulations dictate what the truth is, that's a genuine conversation, right? But that's not what we're talking about here, because despite the whining from the right, they're not being censored. No one is stopping Fox from going out on the streets, shouting his spill. I mean, he did that recently. He's still on Twitter, crying about it all the time. Please tell me the last time Lawrence was locked up for saying anything. Fox often talks about the mainstream media as his enemy, but he was literally bolstered by the BBC. His political activism quite literally started on Question Time. Then he was given all these platforms such as GB News. I thought this tweet from Sophie Corcoran was really funny, and it shows the hypocritical nature of the right. These two women wore a shirt that implies we should kill conservatives, and yet are regulars on the likes of Jeremy Vine, and one even presents on LBC. Just think about that. Okay, do you really think they were serious about actually killing conservatives? It's obviously a play on pun from the Badger Cop. But it's so funny how right-wingers immediately pivot on free speech when it doesn't suit their agenda. The amount of times the mainstream media has platformed the right. Nigel Farage has never held a seat in Parliament, but his entire career was built by the BBC. He was on Question Time so many times. If cancel culture actually existed, you wouldn't know it was a thing. But we do, because we hear about it every single day. People are so cancelled that they are given a platform to say how cancelled they are. Last year, John Cleese was on the BBC whining about cancel culture, which is the reason why he joined GB News. The irony that a man who was largely irrelevant was given a whole new platform on GB News and then spoke about it on the BBC. If we are a nation of cancel culture, we're doing a really bad job of it. The conversations around free speech, even discussions in our day-to-day life, at the pub, at the cafe, for the most part, are manufactured. Things such as the housing crisis, homelessness, climate change are the real issues, not this culture war nonsense. The right have been setting the terms of the debate my whole life. I mean, look at the prominence of right-wing media. You've got The Sun, the Tory-backed Telegraph, the Mail, GB News, which is obviously right-wing, the Spectator, the list goes on. Sure, yeah, you've got the Mirror, which is a liberal paper. It's not left-wing. I mean, yeah, it supports Labour, but again, it's not a left-wing publication. Same as The Guardian, it's a liberal paper. Now, there are absolutely cases where we don't have freedom of speech, but it's not those that push out turfy arguments, because often they're given a bigger platform. No, where free speech is actually attacked are against those who call out institutional power, and it's not the right that does this, it's the left. These so-called free speech warriors haven't said a single word about Julian Assange rotting in Belmarsh. The man exposed US war crimes, and he sits in prison for it. The right don't give a shit about that. They just want to spew utter nonsense and hate without repercussions. Julian Assange is a political prisoner. Not only is his speech silenced, but his body and mind. That also extends beyond him, because it's a warning message to tell us that we can't conduct real pieces of journalism that calls out power. He is being made an example of. Now, yes, there have been allegations of sexual assault regarding Assange, and a lot of people who have publicly supported Assange, I don't think they really speak about that enough. I think it's important to say. But where he is at the moment is purely because of the fact that he exposed US war crimes. Now, right now, the entirety of the left, socialists, are being delegitimized by everyone in the establishment. Having certain left-wing views gets you targeted by the Labour Party. Labour is supposed to be the biggest vehicle for progressives to enact change, so by purging anything remotely left, that's a massive clampdown on democracy. Where are all the right-wingers that call this out? Nowhere, because all they care about is free speech for me not for thee.